Now, for the last 250 years, the United States has been known for its economic resilience, right? Americans have been all about business right from the beginning. Even some of the founding fathers, you'll be interested to hear, speculated on the vast lands out west. Since their time, the economy, though, of course, has changed dramatically. Here are a few numbers that we have to prove it to you. $345. That was the mean household income for Americans in the 1770s. GDP per capita today sits at around $90,000. Now going to the Civil War era, 40% of the North, a full 40%, was engaged in agriculture. In the South, pretty much everyone was, 84%. We're going to flash forward to today. Farming is less than 1% of the economy. Then came the age of factories. In June 1979, the U.S. recorded a peak of nearly 20 million manufacturing jobs. That number is just 12.5 million today. Some facts and figures there, but we do want to reflect a little bit on America's economic exceptionalism. And we have Cullum Clark. He is of the Executive Growth Initiative at the George W. Bush Institute. And he joins us now. Happy early 4th to you. I want to thank you for being on the program.
Thank you, Paula. Happy 4th to you as well.
Now, your latest essay is Economic Independence, America's Most Radical Idea. This caught my attention, and I am going to quote you here. Independence unleashed economic forces that led over several decades to stunning industrial and commercial expansion, radical new ideas on freedom for workers and entrepreneurs, and economic opportunities unmatched in human history to that time. After 250 years, how does the audacity of what you just said propel the economy that Americans live in today?
Well, I think that the reason, first of all, the thing I want to say in that essay is from the start, the United States put together a winning formula. And independence as such, arguably, was about the most important decision in terms of its future economic consequences that our country ever made. Why do I say that? Because before independence, the United States, or the colonies, I should say, were in a kind of a pre-modern setup as part of the British Empire. They were locked into being just raw material suppliers. Labor markets did not function in nearly as free a fashion as we came to think, in the sense that someone could readily quit their job, go get a better job, go start a business. And independence meant that in one fell swoop, all of those imperial British rules went out the window, and our founders were able to innovate. And innovate they did. And they created the world's best model for innovation and economic growth from the get-go. And for 160 of the last 250 years, the United States has been, hands down, the biggest economy in the world.
Yeah, that is quite a feature and quite a streak to keep up as we are 250 years later. You've written about these key milestone moments that shaped America's economy. It is a series of essays. I'm wondering, when you take on a project like this, what are your takeaways after spending this time analyzing these truly exceptional economic milestones?
Well, America's economic performance for these last 250 years really is stellar. It's a bit of a mystery from an economic point of view. Why is it that the United States has performed so much better even than what we usually think of as our closest peer countries? So at the Bush Institute, we wanted to dig into this and try to understand it better and try to help our fellow Americans understand it better as well. And you can say there are several components, and they came together very early in the history of our country. Number one, our founders invented a patent system unlike anything the world had ever seen before, and a giant set of incentives to go out and invent new useful products. It was one of the only policies that Thomas Jefferson and Alexander Hamilton agreed on. Another important policy very early on that also was reinforced by a set of Supreme Court decisions very early on was in effect to make America the freest, best place to start a business anywhere in the world. And that was in a world where, generally speaking, to start a business, you had to have permission from the king or the queen. And here we basically said, no, knock yourself out, go start a business. We had the audacity to build physical infrastructure on a scale that no other country had ever attempted early in our history. The Erie Canal in New York was completed 1825, was 3 times longer than any canal ever built by humanity before. The Transcontinental Railroad that was really launched in Abraham Lincoln's time as president was without precedent in the world. And one other thing we did on Lincoln's watch, and this was something he very much championed, even though he was busy fighting the Civil War, was we passed something called the Morrill Land Grant College Act. And this was perhaps one of the most audacious things we ever did, which was essentially the federal government granting land to all the states to create universities that would be essentially about teaching practical skills to ordinary people. In effect, nobody had ever thought of that before. It never occurred to anyone in the world that college wouldn't just be for the elite.
Yeah, and what an inheritance that is for this country. I do want to talk about the uncommon resilience of the American economy, and it runs through consumers, entrepreneurs, and even, yes, I dare say, it's politicians. And that runs through everyone to this day. Do you think it is, of course, that whole issue of the American dream, that in this economy, people still dare to dream? Do you think that's too trite, or does history bear that out?
No, I think you're absolutely right, Paula. I think that if we want to try to understand why the U.S. economy has been so resilient in the face of shocks and adversity along the way, I think really the first place you would look would be at the spirit of the American people. If you want to have a resilient economy, you need to have a population who believe the future is going to be brighter than today. And when there is a setback, they pick themselves up and carry on. If they get laid off from one job, they go find another better one, or they start a business. And for all that to happen, you have to believe in a brighter future. You have to believe that the American dream, as it were, is actually within reach. That you can have a much better life if you work hard and build things in this country. So I think that spirit has been the single most important thing. Beyond that, I think it's been really good news to have a hugely diverse economy. There's so many different things happening that whenever we've had a setback in one part of the economy, there have been so many others that were doing pretty well that we usually bounced back very well.
Professor Clark, you've given us a great overview in a short period of time on the economic history of this country. I thank you. Happy 4th to you, and we will continue to watch what this truly exceptional economy does in the months and years to come. Thanks so much.
Happy 4th. Thanks.